Hey guys, this is the iPhone Roundup podcast. This is episode number 1. I'm your host, Patrick Klepek, and thanks for tuning in. On the iPhone Roundup podcast, we go on the iTunes App Store, find the best games, and tell you what's worth playing each and every week. Support the show by subscribing to our podcast through iTunes or YouTube. You can also link or embed our show on your blog, Twitter, or Facebook page. This is the first episode of the iPhone Roundup, so we want to take a look back at some of our favorite games released for the iPhone so far. First up is FieldRunners, a tower defense game with a unique art style backing up its addictive gameplay. Next up, we're looking at the innovative platformer Rolando, which is what Loco Roco on PSP should have been. And finally, Scrabble, the iPhone adaptation of the board game that's possibly more entertaining than the real thing. And with that, let's take a look at the games.
If you've never played one before, desktop tower defense games involve laying down towers with different abilities to take out waves of incoming enemies. Towers can be upgraded to become more powerful or sold if you're low on cash. But here's the problem. There are literally hundreds of different desktop tower defense games available on the iPhone, and there's more coming every day. What makes FieldRunners stand out from the crowd is its fantastic art style and solid gameplay mechanics that cleverly take advantage of the iPhone's capabilities. FieldRunners makes use of the same touch techniques iPhone users already use every day. For example, to get a closer look at the battlefield, just pinch the screen and voila, you've zoomed in. Unlike some other games of this type, the way the touchscreen responds feels just right. You'll almost never tap something unless you mean to. Plus, FieldRunners has been updated several times since its original release to incorporate new enemies, new towers, and new levels to fight on. FieldRunners is currently available on the iTunes App Store for $2.99. There is no light version available. If you're like me, every time you played Loco Roco on PSP, you wanted to tilt the machine back and forth to make the little blobs run across the screen. Even when Sony did make Loco Roco for the PlayStation 3, which has motion controls, they didn't do it. Luckily, iPhone developer Moko, also responsible for popular iPhone games Word Fu and Maze Finger, decided they would do exactly that with Rolando. Rolando shares a strikingly similar cartoonish look with Loco Roco, but the touchscreen adds a whole new dimension to the gameplay. The basic goal in every stage of Rolando is to get your friends to the exit by tilting the device and using your finger to move puzzle pieces along the way. You're definitely going to look weird playing Rolando, especially the stages that require you to actually twist the iPhone a whole 360 degrees to keep moving. And don't let the easy difficulty early on fool you. Rolando ramps up the complexity substantially later on. Like FieldRunners, Moko has been upgrading Rolando with free levels pretty often. Rolando is currently available on the iTunes App Store for $4.99. But there's also a free light version available if you'd like to try it out first. You might not like Scrabble in real life, but that's no reason to disregard the excellent iPhone version of this popular old board game. Produced by Electronic Arts, Scrabble on the iPhone takes the slower, methodical pacing of the board game and ratchets it up several notches, making Scrabble the fast-paced, competitive word game you never knew existed. Zooming in and out of the board with your finger feels natural, and the game successfully recreates the feeling of randomizing your available letters by forcing you to actually shake the iPhone. Electronic Arts has even added features to speed up slow matches by allowing players a limited number of best word cheats, where the game will figure out the most profitable word on the board for you. Some Scrabble fans might call this sacrilegious, but who cares, it's fun. There's support for local multiplayer over a Wi-Fi connection, and the latest update to the iPhone version even introduces the ability to play against users on Facebook. Scrabble is currently available on the iTunes App Store for $4.99. There is no light version available.
That's our show for this week. Thanks for tuning in. You can get show updates at twitter.com/iPhone Roundup. You can email questions, comments, and suggestions to iPhoneRoundup@gmail.com. Also, if you're a developer, send promo codes for your game to that same email address. Thanks a lot, and hope to see you next week.